Hello everyone. This is a 2012 weather summary brought to you by the National Weather Service in Billings. 2012 will go down in history as a record-setting warm and dry year with escalating drought conditions and a long and difficult wildfire season. On the following slides, we will take a closer look at the warm and dry conditions and summarize some of the more significant events that occurred during the course of the year. Here are the final precipitation and temperature statistics for Billings, Miles City, and Sheridan. With total precipitation of 7.13 inches and an average temperature of 51.1 degrees, it was the driest and warmest year on record for the city of Billings, where records go back to 1934. For Miles City, it was the warmest and second driest year on record, second to only the extremely dry 1988, which was the year of the Yellowstone fires. For Sheridan, thanks to a few upslope precipitation events on the east side of the Bighorn Mountains, it was only the fourth driest and fifth warmest year on record. Interestingly, for both Billings and Miles City, 2012 is the only year to rank in the top 5 for both temps and precipitation. 2012 was an extremely warm and dry year for not only our region, but a large portion of the country. Now let's take a look at how the year broke down by month at Billings. The top chart here shows temperature departures from normal for each month. As you can see, 9 of the 12 months were warmer than normal, and March was particularly warm, finishing over 9 degrees above normal. The month of March actually made the difference between a very warm year and a record-setting year for us. We have had warmer summers in the past. The June through August period of 2012 was fourth warmest, behind the historically hot summers of 1936, 1961, and 1988. But combined with the very warm spring we experienced, the overall year was our warmest since records began in 1934. In terms of precipitation, all but 2 months were below normal. Notice the very high precipitation deficits in April, June, July, and September. The April through June period is typically our wettest time of year, with an average precipitation of almost 6 inches. Our wet season was absent in 2012, which led directly to escalating drought conditions and an early onset of the wildfire season. So why was it so warm and dry in 2012? Well, there isn't one reason for this, and many factors contributed to the warmth and dryness of 2012. The 2011 and 12 winter was a dry one, and particularly in the northern plains of eastern Montana and the Dakotas, where snow cover was significantly absent much of the time. The lack of snow in the plains and an early mountain snowmelt was followed by a dry spring, all of which resulted in very low soil moisture and an extremely poor green-up across our region. Soil moisture and evapotranspiration helped to keep the temperatures down and precipitation chances up, so the extreme dryness made matters worse. That is to say that dry feeds dry. Overall, by May, it was becoming increasingly apparent that we would have a hot and dry summer. By late June, in a normal year, our precipitation becomes dependent on thunderstorm activity, which is generally spotty and short-lived. Thus, in 2012, having experienced a dry winter, spring, and early summer, there was little chance of making up the precipitation deficits that had already occurred. Now let's take a look at a few of the more significant weather events to occur during 2012. Probably the most significant winter event of the 2011 and 12 winter occurred in mid-January, when an Arctic air mass combined with Pacific moisture to bring heavy snowfall and very cold temperatures to much of the region. The heaviest snowfall fell in a band between Billings and Miles City, with the Hysham area receiving the most snowfall at about 20 inches. The city of Billings received about 10 inches. In addition, below zero temperatures were widespread. The snow and cold did not stay for long, though. The onset of drier downslope winds, or Chinook winds, resulted in warmer temperatures and melting snow cover shortly after this event. March of 2012 was a record warm month across the region, and the statistics for this month were truly remarkable. Several daily record high temperatures were established during the month, with many 70-degree days observed. Miles City actually experienced 12 days with a high temp of at least 70, and only 1/100th of an inch of precipitation fell at the site. The final day of the month was the warmest, with a whopping 80 degrees observed at Billings, Sheridan, and Miles City. This tied the record for earliest occurrence of 80 degrees at Billings and Sheridan. Remember from 2 slides ago, the extremely dry ground contributed to the very warm temperatures, and this fact actually made temperature predictions difficult for our forecasters. What a month it was! One of the few significant precipitation events of the year occurred over Memorial Day weekend. As you can see from this map, much of the area received between a 1/2 inch and 2 inches of precipitation over a period of a few days. Embedded within this fairly wet period of weather was a late season snow event. Amazingly, 3.5 inches of snow fell at the Billings Airport on the night of May 25th, establishing daily snowfall records on the 25th and 26th. This was also the latest measurable snow to occur at Billings since 1975. Record cold temperatures also occurred on these days. Heavy snow fell over the north slopes of the Beartooth-Absaroka Mountains, and as a result, Beartooth Pass did not open as scheduled over Memorial Day weekend. Unfortunately, this precipitation event was not enough to offset the extreme dryness we were experiencing overall. An epic, hot, dry, and windy day occurred on June 26th. High temperatures on this day were in the hundreds everywhere from Billings east, including a new all-time record high temp of 111 degrees at Miles City. This record at Miles City broke the previous record of 110 degrees, which had occurred 5 times previously. In addition to the heat, wind gusts of 30 to 50 miles per hour were widespread with single-digit humidity. The fire season began early this year, and several wildfires spread rapidly on this day, including the Doll Fire near Roundup and the Ash Creek Fire near Ashland. One significant impact of the hot and dry year was a long and difficult wildfire season, not only in our region but across much of the western states. Wildfire season in our area, which typically peaks from late July into September, began in June and lasted into early October this year. The National Weather Service provides incident meteorologists, or IMETs, who travel to the more significant wildfires and provide on-site weather support for the team battling that fire. One of the IMETs in the Billings forecast office was dispatched 6 times to 8 fires and was away from the office for a total of 54 days. Because of the long, hot, and dry summer, the National Weather Service in Billings also issued many red flag warnings over the course of the season in order to alert fire weather personnel of the adverse weather conditions that make rapid fire growth more likely. The onset of precipitation and cooler temperatures in October finally brought an end to our wildfire season. Drought conditions were not evident early in the year, but as warm and dry conditions persisted, drought intensified rapidly. By late summer, as you can see from the map here, much of the state was in moderate to severe drought, with some areas experiencing extreme drought. The drought had both agricultural and hydrologic impacts. This made lives very difficult for ranchers and farmers, and anyone whose livelihood depends on water and agriculture. Though the onset of cooler temperatures and precipitation in the fall began to lessen these impacts, drought conditions remain across the region as we move into 2013. Precipitation so far in the 2013 water year, which began October 1st, has been above normal over the west slopes of the Beartooth Mountains, but is below normal for the plains and eastern slopes of the mountains. Hopefully, the mountains will receive a good snowfall this year, and near to above normal precipitation will occur across the region in the spring. There is currently no clear signal to suggest either above, below, or near normal precipitation for the late winter and spring months. The end of a particularly dry stretch of weather occurred on October 3rd. Billings recorded no measurable precipitation from August 16th through October 2nd, and this 48-day streak was the third longest on record. The dry stretch at Sheridan was even more significant. Sheridan went a whopping 53 days without measurable rain, beginning August 11th, and this was a new record for the site. Furthermore, the trace of precipitation that fell at Billings during September was a record low for the month. Interestingly, the October 3rd precipitation event did include some wet snowfall. Measurable snow fell at Billings on this day, meaning only 129 days elapsed since the last spring snow event occurred on May 26th. This 129-day snowless streak between last spring and first fall snow events was actually the 5th shortest on record, remarkable for how hot and dry the summer was. Finally, a snow event on Christmas Eve guaranteed a white Christmas across the region, and as you can see from the map here, much of the northern half of the country experienced a white Christmas in 2012. The 3.4 inches of snow that fell at Billings on the 24th was a record for the day and the first measurable snow on Christmas Eve since 1996. Looking ahead to the remainder of the winter, the official forecast from the Climate Prediction Center calls for slightly increased chances of below normal temperatures and above normal precipitation in our region for the January, February, and March period. These outlooks should be used with caution, though, as we typically experience large temperature fluctuations and alternating wet and dry periods during the course of our cool season. Overall, the climate signal is not strong in our area for the remainder of the winter. This concludes our presentation. The latest weather information from the National Weather Service in Billings can be found on our website at weather.gov/Billings. Also, please follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks, and have a nice day.